Hey everyone, so in this video I'm just going to be highlighting a slight issue I've actually noticed with the Eufy Cam 2s. So if we come into HomeKit, well, the Home app, and as you can see from both of these, so I'll click into the back garden camera first, and as you can see this one seems to load up perfectly fine. In terms of the picture, everything seems relatively easy to see. Now if we click into the front garden, the driveway camera, as you can see this one is pretty much unviewable. It's completely blurred out, and the reason this is actually happening is to do with the night vision. So what's actually happening is because of where this particular camera is positioned and because of how the camera is angled, basically I've seen a few videos overnight back when I first installed it where spiders are basically building a spider web around it because of the fact that it's a structure that's sticking out. So what they tend to do is anything that they can basically create a web around, they'll go and do it. So because of that, obviously you were getting more water gathering towards the front of the lens. Now about 5 minutes ago I actually wiped this and basically it cleaned up. What I'll do now is I'll try and do this whilst I'm still recording. It is quite cold and quite windy outside, but there's no reason why this should really be this bad. So what I'll do is whilst I'm still recording, I'll just give the camera a wipe. So just open up my window, and I've got to lean out the window in order to do this. Right, and as you should be able to see now, everything should have basically cleared up. But that is obviously a bit of an issue when it comes to an outdoor camera. An outdoor camera that basically fogs up, or not so much fogs up, I think in this case the issue has been that it's basically probably partly the angle, partly possibly could be something to do with the fact that I actually wiped it previously, and I just used my hand, and obviously that's a lot warmer than the ambient temperature outside, so that might have caused a little bit of condensation to actually gather on the actual lens itself. This time around what I've done is I actually used a tissue instead, just to keep a barrier between basically the temperature of my skin and the camera lens itself. But as you can see now it's perfectly clear again. Just click back into the rear camera again. That one seems to be working fine, and I did actually just set up the rear link again as well. I've got that set up in my other room, just basically testing it out. But yeah, as you can see, so as we come back into it now, everything's perfectly viewable. But obviously this will be an issue for anybody who's mounting this in a position where they can't easily actually get to it. This would be an issue because obviously you won't be in the position where you can literally just lean out the window and wipe it clean. The other point to this is obviously it's meant to be an outdoor camera, and anybody living in the UK, we get rain 90% of the year. Probably not 90% of the year, but that's what it feels like when you're living in the UK. So the fact that it's kind of clouded up and basically become unusable when it's raining is not an encouraging sign. I have actually been having other issues with the cameras as well. I was in the process of actually making a video earlier on with regards to the firmware versions. So basically what happened was I was having a lot of dropouts with the front driveway camera. So the driveway camera was basically becoming unresponsive, not in the Eufy app, only in HomeKit, so it basically never show up. So what I did was I actually came in and I manually did a check for firmware update, and it was on 2.6.6 and it updated to 2.6.7. so I thought great. And then because that was linked to the camera's home base, and if we look at the paired devices, that's the only device on this particular one, this also updated to 2.1.22H, and that was, I don't know if it gives you the time for when that actually, yeah, so 12:48 p.m. May have been earlier than that, and then I tried doing the same thing with the back garden camera. So as you can see now it has actually updated to 2.6.7. So that says 5:21 p.m. and this one says 12:50 p.m. So yeah, so nearly 5-hour difference between when that camera was allowed to do the firmware update and the next one. Throughout the day I kept checking and it just wouldn't update, and then eventually the Doorbell home base did actually update. As you can see, 5:19 p.m. compared to, if I just come back out, compared to 12:48 p.m. So I mean previously, if we come into this section here, you can see it was previously updating automatically without an issue, but despite me going in and clicking it several times, it didn't actually recognize the fact that there was an update waiting for it. Now since this update, it has actually been slightly better. Now the update itself doesn't actually say anything to do with HomeKit, so literally the only thing is solve the issue with the Android app may not play the Eufy Cam 2C 2 clips. So that's more of a home base issue, and the fact that the cameras started working a bit better for me could be totally coincidence, or it could be something that they did actually fix in the background as well. But essentially what was happening was, anytime I left HomeKit for say more than a day and then I came back in, it just wouldn't, your driveway camera would always be showing no response, and the only option that I had was literally to restart the home base that it was connected to. Now the driveway one has done this several times now. You're probably coming up to double figures in terms of how many times it's actually done it. I actually mentioned this in a previous video that I posted on the topic, but recently what started happening was, before this particular update, the back garden camera was also doing the same thing. So it was also basically showing no response, and the only option was go back to the other app and restart both home bases, and then it would then continue working for say a day and then possibly trip out again. But yeah, that's obviously an issue that was there. The only thing I can do is obviously monitor it and report back if I do still get any further issues. Now whilst I'm here, I may as well take a look at the power management side of things. So front driveway camera I've had activated for 37 days now. As you can see, 1504 total events with just over 1096 that have been filtered out, and then 408 have actually been recorded. I have got it on optimal surveillance, and I did actually tune down the motion detection, but this I do occasionally adjust depending on how I'm using it. So if I'm going out, if I want it to be activated a little earlier, then I'll switch that up to 7, but otherwise I'll just leave that on 4. Similar thing with the back garden camera, so I did actually disable the motion on this one because there was no need for it. And if we take a look at the power management on this, so that's 79 with no motion, and this one is 71 with motion. So it's not going to last a year for me. Obviously I was well aware of that when I first installed it, and I mentioned that earlier on as well. And we'll just quickly take a look at the battery, the power management for the Doorbell as well. So that's on 64% at the moment, so that's probably on course for 3 to 4 months kind of cycle for recharge, which isn't too bad considering how many motion events this actually goes through. So if we take a look at it, as you can see, there's quite a few detections that have actually gone on. So in the 37 days it's had almost 856 motion events, and 258 of those were filtered out. Considering where it is, I wouldn't have thought it would have that many false events that it's actually filtering out, but obviously it's doing something to actually trigger those ones. In the motion detection, oh yeah, so I wasn't aware whether I still had it on human only. So obviously if it's not detecting a face, then it's probably not going to pick up and probably filter that one out. So far obviously that's the situation. So hopefully this new update that's actually come out today, and today is the 28th of August, Friday 28th of August, and this is when I've got that update. Previously it's always been updating itself in the background, that's why I've never actually gone in to do a manual one. But basically I was just so fed up with that, I thought I need to do something, so I went in, clicked on it. There was an update available for the driveway one, but as you've seen, it wasn't available for the back garden camera, even though these came as a set. So both the the driveway and the back garden cameras came as a set, and they were linked to the camera's home base initially, and that was the one that updated. The doorbell one, I mean, they're pretty much the same thing, they are the same thing. It's just the way that I've got it set up, because the back garden camera essentially is closer to the one that I've got set up downstairs for the doorbell, so I thought it made sense to link it up to that, and if there was any issues with signal, it'd obviously be a lot easier rather than having it come all the way to the front of the house trying to connect to the home base that's actually being used for the driveway camera.